I am here today with Terence Hundley of Hundley Home Inspection, my trusted home inspector for, gosh, I want to say 18 years now.
That sounds
It's been a long time,
Yes.
a long time. When you work with a home inspector that you trust, that's as thorough as Terence is, and Terence is thorough because he's also a licensed contractor, which helps.
Yes.
I kind of joke all the time with people that, there's no license required to be a home inspector. So I could start up Kellee's Home Inspection Company tomorrow.
That's correct.
And you've been vetted, tried and true over all of these years.
Yes.
And I brought Terence on today because I want to talk about something that recently happened.
Yes.
There was a fire, right?
Yes.
You're in the process of doing a renovation.
That's correct.
For a property that had a fire. Let's talk about what caused that fire.
All right, very good. Yes, we were called here several weeks ago. We were referred to by someone in the real estate market to this homeowner that had a fire. And of course, we went out initially to evaluate and see what the conditions were. And the conditions were actually worse than what I had anticipated. And so upon us going out and taking an evaluation of the fire, we went to the building department to see exactly now what we need to do, what path we have to travel in order to put this house back together, to restructure it. And so going to the building department, I won't call out the building department, but going to the building department, I had a chance to speak with the building official, the building inspector. And keep in mind, this particular house, they red tagged it.
Okay.
Which means red tag, usually after some type of damage like this, they're either green, tag it, yellow, or red tag it. Of course, green means they're still able to stay there.
Sure.
The yellow tag means it's certain cautious that they caution you. Red tag means do not enter. That is because of structure damage, there's safety concern. So this particular house was red tagged on the front door by both the fire department and the building department. And so what generally happens in these cases, when there's a fire like that, the fire department will contact the building officials to have them come out and assess the property, and then they will evaluate it and determine then how they're going to tag the building. And so this one was red tag. And so upon going to the building department to meet with the building official, when we went to the front desk, the front counter to get the information, the building inspector was just so happened he was there preparing to go about his way for his day to do his inspections. And so the technician asked me for the address, and I prepared to give her the address, and the inspector said, "Is that the house over on?" And he called out the name of the street. And I said, yes, which means he was very familiar with that particular house.
Sure.
And so when he said that, and I said, yes, that's the property, he said, "Oh, did they tell you what caused the fire?" I said, "No, I haven't gotten that far into it yet." He said, yeah, the problem was they installed a charger, a EV charger. I won't call the brand, but they installed an EV charger that was not permitted.
So this caused the fire. It was not permitted. So maybe a handyman installed it improperly.
Right. So
and
they have no way of knowing.
Burn the house like down?
So what it did, of course, the EV charger is in the garage. And of course, the size of the garage is a 2-car garage, and the size of a 2-car garage is 20 by 20, 400 square feet. Now, keep in mind, this house is 1 story. This house is around 1,800 square feet. So it literally, garage, the entire garage has to be demolished all the way to the slab. And a portion of the house, I'm gonna say about half of the house, and we're in the process now of determining with the architect, me as the contractor, and the inspector, it has a truss roof, and so we have to determine now how badly charred are the truss members. And so we probably gonna have to peel back half of the roof system on the house and rebuild the half of the house. And the house is completely gutted now. But all of this was as the result of the EV charger, the unpermitted EV charger in the home.
The reason I had asked Terence to be here was because in many cases, as I'm selling homes and listing homes for sale, people have charging units at their house, in their
Yes,
garage.
that's correct.
And that's not a question that we ask, although on the disclosure, the seller is supposed to note if there is any items that were unpermitted.
That's correct.
And not all do, unfortunately. But in this scenario, she'd just purchased the house. She didn't have it very long, right?
That's correct.
So if that had been disclosed to her, I wonder if she would have done anything different.
Right. And in this case, let's say, had we done the inspection, and one of the things that we provide on the inspection side, and I really like being on both the construction side and the inspection side. And also, one of the things that I used to do, and I'm looking at all of the incidents that have occurred now with the hurricanes. Several years ago, some time ago, before my beard was gray, I used to be a FEMA inspector. And so I would travel and go out to the disaster areas, whether it was floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and I would see all of this, the disaster as the results of whatever the hurricane. And so it really taught me a lot in being on that side. So that taught me how to deal with people that goes through devastation and how you deal with it. And so it has made me very sensitive in what I do, understanding that your home is the single most expensive investment that you will make. And so this is where you house your family. This is where you house your loved ones. And so it's very important to know that if you're purchasing, and first of all, I would like to say, it's good to deal with a reputable real estate firm. And of course, as Kellee stated, we've been working together a long time.
Thank you.
Great name in the community, that's important. Reputation is everything. And of course, she's been vetted as well. She's been tried and true. Yeah. Her experiences.
I've got my stripes. I've got my stripes for sure.
Yes. And so that means a lot. And so as I look at this, have we done, and what we are doing now, what I shared with Ms. Kellee, to kind of sharpen the agents as they're going out and you're taking listings, is certain things that you want to look for. So now you will understand the paper trail that you need to take now that you observe these things as you're taking the listings.
Yes, and buyer beware.
That's
buyer
correct.
beware.
That
because
is correct.
Certainly when you're working with buyers, if you see a charger, you know, in the garage, and that's coming with the property that you mentioned earlier, someone had taken part of the charger. They had taken one of the chargers.
Yes, this was another inspection that we were on, and of course, this was just this past week, and it had one of those charging systems. And of course, the seller, they removed a portion of the system because I'm assuming they had to take it to wherever they were going and reuse it, but they left exposed wires, which now is a health and safety, is a hazard to that home. And of course, that needs to be addressed before the new purchaser, the new home buyer purchases that home. It needs to be made fully safe. And so some of the things that I would encourage those that are in the real estate and you're taking listings, you want to look for solar installed, because that's another component that's tied to the electrical system. And of course, this home had solar. It had been retrofitted with solar.
Okay.
And of course, I know as agents, you guys run into that where the solar, now I know that could be a nightmare.
Solar is, a whole other segment on solar, but solar is definitely a nightmare.
Yes.
And, you know, I would say half of the time that we list homes with solar, people don't even know what they have.
That's correct.
Or how it functions, or how to check if it's functioning properly.
That's correct.
Or they don't even know or understand the fact that it loses efficiency over time. It's really a shame. Solar can and was a great thing for a long time. It's definitely changed.
Yes.
However, you know, we do have a New Day Solar is generally who we use to inspect solar systems, which is important.
Because that's outside as a home inspector. That's outside of the scope of our inspection. And so what we do, we refer, we make a note there. And so I explain to people when we provide our inspections, it's like being a general practitioner as a doctor. You know, you go in, you examine, and once you examine and you see there's a special need, you may call
a specialist.
There you go, an ear specialist, a throat specialist,
eye,
nose, stomach, gastro. And so that's what we do. And so as we observe and inspect and evaluate the property, that's what we basically do. Now we give a recommendation that you consult one with the seller and with a license, and that's very important, not handyman Joe from up the street, a licensed and bonded contractor.
Right.
Yes.
As we are selling homes, the contracts have finally caught up.
All right.
And so the new rules, when it comes to even homes that are flipped, right?
Yes.
Are requiring detailed information about the people who worked on that property.
Yes.
And so it's kind of about time for health and safety purposes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been in the business 27 years, and I will say I've never seen more thorough reports than yours.
Thank you. We take pride in them.
Yeah, and you should, and you should. But what means the most to me as a professional is that when we contact you and we have a buyer, maybe they're a first-time home buyer, or maybe they've never had a home inspection before, you take the time to go through in detail, and you've even walked a property with clients recently, and you take the time in detail to explain what your findings are. Not to scare anybody away, but to inform them, to facilitate the fact that, you know, you're buying the home. This is your house.
That's it.
These are the nuances.
That's correct.
You know, these are the things. There are sometimes there's things that, you know, hey, this is something we need to be very aware of. It's important that it's addressed ahead of time.
Yes.
And then other things are, well, that's normal. You're gonna have to, you know, it's normal
That's
maintenance, wear and tear, and
I'm glad you said that, because what we pride ourselves in, our inspection report, it actually not only helps you with the purchase in terms of establishing the request for repairs, it helps you afterwards with the home warranty.
Right.
If there's an issue with the home warranty, our report paints a picture to the home warranty company. This was the conditions at the time you purchased the house. And then the next thing it helps you with is for the later in terms of repairs that you may, maintenance issues that you may have to address in the future. So that's very, very important.
Yeah, the thorough report has been helpful when it comes to the request for repairs, but also you have as well, because I've reached out to you on several occasions because I'm not really fully understanding the context, and so you've actually given me the words to write the request for repairs. So I'm asking for the correct thing to be done. That
is correct. And of course, keep in mind that in what Ms. Kellee just said, as an inspector, now keep in mind as a contractor, it does give me some leeway in doing my inspection because I am licensed, and that means a lot. And of course, we do have standards of practice that we follow. But what it does, it gives me a leeway because now I'm a licensed building contractor. Now I can bring in the standards and practice of the industry when I do my report. But now what we can't do, we can't tell them exactly how to do the repairs.
Right.
But we can give the recommendation. We can say off record, yes, this is how it needs to be fixed. We just can't put that in our, exactly. So being on the contractor side and being a general contractor where we oversee all of the subcontractors, your plumber, your electrician, your HVAC, your roofer, finished carpentry. And of course, I'm a finished carpenter, so I have a trained eye. So certain things I see, but even with that, we don't go in to pick a property apart. Right. We stay within the standards of the practice.
And so years ago, when I first got into real estate and I worked with a home inspection company, nice people, really nice people, but I will never forget, I was with my clients at this house, and they started in the kitchen. The home inspection was 2 of them. And my clients were brand new home buyers. They wanted to be at their home inspection. And we hear the guy looks under the kitchen cabinet and he literally shrieked. He was like, and it was...
He just blew the deal.
It was terror. And it did. It fell out. It fell out of escrow. And, you know, you really have to have... You have to have a thorough home inspector, but one who knows what can be fixed, what is, you know, if you looked under that cupboard and it's full of black mold, you know, and you can't say the mold word,
that's right.
But it was black underneath there, you know,
and smelly.
I think that Terence would literally kind of take a step back and he'd go, Miss Kellee, can you come here a second?
That would be me.
Don't stick your head underneath that cabinet. I think that could be the bad black moldy stuff. We can't call it mold because we don't really know. But it does matter who you work with.
Yes.
And then real quick, because we're short on time here, but I want to talk to you about mobile homes. Now,
yes.
So we're moving to, we talked about buying homes and making sure that we're buying a house if it's got a Tesla charger site, I can say Tesla, or any type of a charging station for your electric car. You need to make sure it's permitted.
That's correct.
So
it's paramount.
It's paramount. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Nobody wants their house to be burnt down.
Because keep in mind, when you take a permit, most times you're dealing with a licensed electrician.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes, and it's always wise to do that. You have a throat to choke.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
So moving on, let's talk real quick about manufactured homes.
Yes.
So what is the number one, like what is the number one? Oh my gosh, because you're not going to say that, but that you see the most. That is something that agents / buyers would need to be aware of.
And it's hidden where you can't see it. And a lot of times, keep in mind, they have a term that we use in the industry, putting lipstick on a
pig.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so what happens, they tend to make everything look pretty, but you need to look beyond the pretty part. You need to look at the systems. And the number one system that we probably see the most on the manufactured home is the jack, the support system, the screw jack. Yes.
They rust. So you're literally looking under their skirt.
Yes, that's exactly. You got it. That's exactly the skirt that goes around. So we get to peek underneath the skirt and see what's under there.
Oh wow.
And usually the underneath carriage, the floorboards, the insulation, the ductwork, all of that's under the skirt. And so you have electrical under there, and usually that's where you see a lot of you have water intrusion. Because if the skirt is not properly sealed with the metal flashing or caulking, then you have water intrusion, and you have all kind of issues that open up under the skirt.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's we had just at our last week's Real Estate Academy training, we had Wendy from Permabrace.
Yes.
And Wendy talked about some of the casualties of the permanent, putting a property on a permanent foundation.
That's correct.
And so those posts and piers, that is a problem. That is something that there's unfortunately a small amount of people that will forego a home inspection. They don't want to spend the money.
That is correct.
And it's very little money.
Yes.
It's
in
comparison to the headaches that you are avoiding in the future. But I just wanted to bring that to people's attention, because it's very worth it to know. What you don't know can not just, it can hurt you, but it's going to cost you.
That is correct. In the long run, it will cost. You either pay the few dollars investment for the home inspection, and all inspections are not the same.
Right.
Yeah, all inspections
all inspectors are not the same.
And all inspectors are not the same. Just like all real estate are not the same. True. And so that's very important. Like you said, it's important to be vetted. And of course, my construction experience is better than 40 years, and so I've been doing it since I was a little guy, and so it's paying off. Yeah,
definitely. So Terence, how do people reach you?
They can reach us by calling us, by texting us. You can reach us at 951-377-3580, or you can reach us via email at Terence, that's TERRENCE, the number 4, HundSpec, HUNDSPEC @gmail.com.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Of course.
We enjoyed it.